Hi, my name is Krystian Aparta, and I'm going to talk about translating terminology. So, as translators, we all know that because one word can mean many things, we can't just translate a word, but we first need to find out what concept it refers to, and then what words are used for that concept in our target language. And it's usually enough to look at the context for that. So with a word like mouse in the first sentence here, we know that from the context, we know that it refers to just our general domain of the knowledge and experience with mice. And in the second sentence, it refers to a more specialized domain of computer devices. When we're translating a word like mouse in the first sentence, we just go to our general knowledge of the language and do a so-called literal or word-for-word translation. But with a word like mouse in the second sentence that refers to a specialized domain, we can't really do a literal translation, but first we need to find out, well, if we didn't know anything about computers, we would need to do some research and find out what this device is called in our language. And this is important because even though in English one word can refer to both things, in a foreign language the specialized term can have a totally different and non-literal translation. For example, in Japanese, mouse in the rodent sense is nezumi, and mouse as the computer pointing device is mausu. And you can tell that mouse and nezumi are totally different. I will refer to a word that refers to a specialized domain as a term. Now, it's usually easy to tell that a word or phrase is a term. Very often terms are capitalized, so these two phrases mean something completely different, and they may have a different translation in your language. Like in Spanish, the landmark sense is La Gran Muralla China, and the literal translation is La Pared Grande, which is just some wall in a house somewhere. Also, words that seem difficult or sound foreign are often terms, so when we come across a word like velocity or aperture, we sort of get the feeling that we need to look it up. There are cases, though, where it's hard to tell if a word is actually a term, and then we need to first find out if it does work like a term in English, and then whether there is an established translation in our target language or if we have to make up our own. And I would like to share an experience like this. That happened when I was reviewing the Polish translation of Janna Levin's talk on the sound of the universe by Kinga Skorupska, and this example is used by the translator's permission. At one point in the talk, Janna Levin uses the phrase dust lanes, which was translated in Polish as ścieżki pyłu, a literal translation that basically means paths of dust. And because Janna Levin uses a lot of specialist vocabulary in her talk, I wasn't really sure if the literal translation would work. So I need to find out if dust lane is a term. I started by Googling dust lane galaxy, and these quotation marks are there to look for this exact phrase. And I found this Wikipedia entry on the Sombrero galaxy, which did contain the term dust lane in the same meaning. So this confirmed that dust lane was indeed a term in English. Now I need to find the Polish translation, and the first thing I did was to go to the Polish entry on the Sombrero galaxy, which contained this sentence, translated literally as, is partially occluded by a belt, torus, of non-luminescent matter. And at this point, torus did seem like a good enough candidate for dust lane in Polish, but I wasn't really sure if this was only a word used in this article or the established term in Polish. And to find out about this, I did another Google search, this time in Polish, for Taurus Galactica, and I found this Wikipedia entry on the Seyfert Galaxy containing this sentence, which literally translates as la la la, close to the vicinity of the active core, known as a dust torus. And there, I thought I was done, and this was my translation. Dust lane translates as torus płowy or dust torus in Polish. But then I thought they may not be that similar, because as much as a lane, usually being straight, can sometimes be used for something circular, a torus is always like a circle. So I needed to find out if dust lane in English, the term, was really used for something circular like a torus would be. I went to Google again and did a search for dust lane galaxy, but this time an image search, but all it gave me were these pretty images of galaxies, but nothing to confirm or disconfirm my idea. Then I did another search for straight long dust lane, and this straight line words like or. This is because we don't usually refer to circles as straight or long. This brought me to a page containing images and descriptions of galaxies, and one of the descriptions had the phrase long dust lane in it. But comparing the descriptions and images for other galaxies on this page, I saw that they are all pretty similar. So dust lane did refer to something circular in all these images, and there I had my term. Dust lane was translated as torus płowy, or literally dust torus in Polish. As translators, you probably go through investigations like these all the time, but I wanted to share the story because outsmarting a dog that wants to hide away a term from me is, to me, one of the most exciting parts of the process of translation. Thank you.